I hate to be the one to bust your bubble, but we are in hell. HE double hockey sticks. I'm saying this because I was looking at some of the comments on one of my videos, and it was an interesting discussion that came up. And a question was asked to me originally as to whether or not this reality is heaven or hell. Good ass question. And the person that asked this question wanted a yes or no answer, period. So I said yes. And when I said yes, that caused a big spark of, communication and dialogue. I mean, and everything was all love and peace and things of that nature. I mean, it wasn't, it was a little bit of going back and forth and stuff like that. So I'm not making this video to say that I'm upset about what I seen, but I'm just using this particular dialogue to create an educational piece, because we are in hell. See, a lot of people can't say this, but I can say it because I'm already the bad guy. They already look at me as the bad guy that came and told everybody about the occult. They already look at me as the boogeyman. You see, so they already expect me to say some off the wall ish. So yeah, I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to say it only because I'm allowed to say it. There's other people out there that probably would tell you as well, but they don't want to lose people and their followers and stuff like that. And I understand that, and this is not a knocking or a bashing. I'm here to educate and to tell you that we are in hell. Now, why do I say that? You see, I could sugarcoat it for you, because in the dialogue it came up and a person asked me, well, Ram Hotep, you know better than that. Why would you tell a person directly, yes, we are in hell? You could have said, this can be heaven or hell, and we create our own reality. But see, I'm a little bit more learned than that. I'm a little bit more deeper into the occult than that to be able to just give you a surface answer and to say, well, yeah, we create our own reality. That's what you want to hear, of course. You don't want to believe you're in hell. You want to believe there's another place outside of this life, and you don't want to believe that you're in hell, but believe it, you're in hell, and I'm going to explain it to you. You see, research the term hell. When you research the term hell, you're going to find out, when you get past the Christian mythological story about hell, which has truth in it, but it's mythology, and if you take it literally, you're going to get sidetracked. But if you research it and you go past that, you're going to find out that the term hell means underworld. Very key here. Underworld. So when I say we are in hell, all the ancients, I don't care if you're talking about the Sumerians, I don't care if you're talking about the Hindus, I don't care if you're talking about the ancient Egyptians, all of the ancients acknowledge this realm as the realm of the underworld. Hell. Governed by a being named Halal, who later on became the devil. So what does this have to do with the fact that I'm saying that this is the underworld? What does this have to do with as to whether or not this is hell? Because I know somebody out there is thinking that right now. So what does this have to do with this particular reality being hell, just because hell means underworld? I'm going to explain it to you. You see, when you incarnate here on this particular realm, you fail. Your energy did what's called, you made a descent here into this place. And if you had been born here in ancient times, you would have been taught thoroughly about this descent. You see, you fell from a high state or a heavenly state to this state, and this became hell. See, to the ancients, they called the body a sarcophagus. The Egyptians called it a cot, K-H-A-T, a cot. And the cot was a sarcophagus or a tomb. And the ancient Egyptians believed that your real life consciousness of who you really are was imprisoned, and not only that, but enslaved and encapsulated into this tomb or this sarcophagus or this cot. So the ancient Egyptians knew that you were in hell. And the reason why this is hell is because of the fact that as soon as you're born into this realm, you begin to die. This realm is based on destruction. Everything you do here to exist, something has to die. Something has to transform. This realm is a realm of hell that you have to progress your way out of. That's right, you have to progress your way out of. See, many people believe that you can mentally create your own reality. And I teach that. You can mentally create your own reality. But like my man Ra-Un Nefer teaches, a deep occultist, Ra-Un Nefer, who teaches on the ancient Egyptian oracle of Tahuti, teaches that man's perception of the world cannot change the reality that the world is shaped and maintained by a unified multiplicity of agencies. And the world is made up of an infinitude of independent entities. Very key here. I'm pointing that out because of the fact that just because you think of a positive thought does not mean that that's going to become your reality. Many people get into magic. Many people get into alchemy. Many people get into all these advanced sciences. But at the end of the day, they can't change their reality based upon these sciences because they have not embraced the fact that it takes more than just positive thought. It takes more than just thinking and believing and it's going to manifest. You have to know that you are in a realm that is based on a multiplicity of different realities working together to create this one. And this is what the ancient Egyptians knew, and this is why they were so bold in calling this place hell and calling this place the underworld, because you are enslaved by law, by code. This is why when you start getting into the concept of Saturn and Satan, see, Saturn deals with structure. Saturn deals with codes and regulations. So you have to graduate in degrees to make it out of this state. And I'm saying that because it takes more than just a positive thought. You have to not only acknowledge the fact that you live in a realm that's based on a multiplicity of different realities, but you have to learn about these realities so that you can fuse them together so that you can begin to work your way out of this state. That's right, out of this state. So you have to understand how you got here. When you first got here was based upon a conspiracy that took place in the universe. And this figure that you call Lucifer, which really his name is Halal. This is what the ancient Sumerians call him. So when you deal with the concept of hell, you're dealing with the concept of a being by the name of Halal, and his father got into it with the Galactic Federation, and they were cast into this reality that was based on solids, liquids, and gases. And this put them into the world of form. Since they didn't agree with the light, and since they didn't believe and agree with the beings of light and the beings of the Galactic Federation of Light, they were cast into this reality and given physical bodies, and their consciousness was put into this reality, and this was their realm to rule. This was their realm to rule. So when they first got here, they had to learn about the rules and the codes and the order of hell, and the order of the duat is what the ancient Egyptians called it, and the order of the underworld. And they had to learn about the history of physical form and how matter became, or how matter became, or how material became to be. So in that, once they learned that and mastered that, they became the gods. The gods. So your concept of God is really a story about a being that was really like the devil, because he was cast into this reality. Even in the Bible, it says that Satan was cast into the earth and he became the ruler of this particular realm. He was given dominion, Satan was, before the advent of man. You see, so this is talking about Halal, this reptilian. That's what you got to remember. Halal was a reptilian type of being that was cast into the physical shell, because the reptilian type of beings were the first beings to become, or some of the first types of species of beings to become physical, or what you would call physical, and to live in a reality similar to the reality that we live in. Their reality is not the same because they are not structured the same. So their reality is not the same as humans, but their reality is very similar. When you talk about the fact that having it being locked in a trapped in a physical body and being locked into DNA and having DNA. See, DNA has a code, which means that you could be hacked. If it has a code, you start talking about DNA code, this means that somebody programmed it. See? So you got to think about that. This means that this reality is being controlled and governed by a higher group of beings, the whole physical reality. And the reptilians know this because this is your Lucifer, this is your Satan, this is your God that, you read about in the Bible in the different books. And I'm bringing this up because he knows about these different laws and these different codes. So he created this reality so that he can remain dominant and remain God in it. So he keeps you ignorant to the fact that this is hell. So you don't know the fact that this is hell. And you might be thinking, well, I thought hell was this place that people burn and souls burn. There was a lot of fire. I thought hell had something to do with fire and suffering. You are burning. You are in fire. You are suffering every day that you live. The food that you eat hell food. You eat out of hell's kitchen. And I'm not trying to beat up on you. This is not a preaching. This is the truth. I'm helping you to remember. You eat out of hell's kitchen because the food that you eat is acidic. And acidic food burns the inside. So this is a burning. You're constantly burning. You get cancer and different things like that. Cancer is a burning. It's a burning. It causes you to eat away at the flesh. You see, you get parasites. They eat away from you. You're in a hellish existence with insects and reptilians and beings that rule over you and viruses. This is all hell because it's all based on burning. You're burning based upon sitting in the radiation, sitting up under the radiation of the sun every day. You're burning because you're on the side of light. Light is decay and radiation. You are a being composed of light. So as soon as you get here, you are burning. And this is why the ancient Egyptians became alchemists, because they found out that this life is designed for us to die. So they got into reverse osmosis and reversing the physical effects and aging and decay. So they got into alchemy. They studied alkalinity. They got into basically combining different elements and components together so that they can change their reality. This is why the Egyptians spent most of their life getting prepared for the next life. They spent most of the life in the physical body. When you study their history, they spent most of their time creating their tombs and the sarcophaguses and things of that nature, preparing for the next life, preparing for ascension, because they knew that they were working through the realm of Saturn, through the realm of structure. And they knew that they were only in this realm to prepare for the next realm. And they knew that this realm was just an experience that prepared them for the next realm. This is why they buried themselves with certain herbs. They buried themselves with certain ornaments and things of that nature. They did this because they were preparing, and they knew that through the concept of alchemy and getting into feng shui and things of that nature, they were preparing to transport their consciousness to the next realm. And they knew that when they left this realm, that they would hover over their bodies and they would see those particular things that they buried with them, and those things would help them to remember when they transformed into the other side. And when they looked at their body, it would help them to remember, okay, I buried myself with this, that, and that because I'm supposed to cross over the borderland and go into this particular state of consciousness. See, the Egyptians, they planned their deaths and they knew which state of consciousness they were going to go into. And this is the only way to work and to get out of this particular state. You have to remember. See, when you transform and when you go to the next realm, or when you die, or whatever you want to call that, what determines as to whether or not you're going to come back to this realm is your ability to remember how to get to the higher realms. If you've never been to the higher realms in meditation, if you've never experienced another life in contemplation and just in thought, like when you're just thinking on different thought patterns, if you've never experienced this, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But there's a higher realm, a heavenly state. And the ancient Egyptians knew about this, so much so that they would go back and forth to this place, and they would learn things from this place and come back to the 3D state. And this is how they were such advanced magicians and things of that nature. This is how the Atlanteans were so advanced, because they knew that they could go to this state and learn things and bring those things back to this state. This is the real life heaven that I'm speaking of. See, when you talk about going to heaven, you have to get there on a higher realm. The heaven is locked into the realm of Malakut, the higher realm, the realm of the mind. You see, there's different, when you study the tree of life in the Kabbalah, there's different realms. And we're in the lowest, grossest, very gross state, a very hardened state, a very callous state, based on polarity, based on competition, based on aggression. So the ancient Egyptians knew that in order for us to change this reality so that it would become a heaven, they had to go to that reality and go back and forth. And they did this in meditation. Sometimes they did it in death. Actually, some of them physically died and went to that place, and then they came back in another body. But the bottom line is that they knew in order for this place to become a heaven, there are certain rules and a certain code and a certain order that a person must submit themselves to, and a certain discipline that a person must submit themselves up under if they want to make it to this higher state. And you have to know your history. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to know how we got to these physical shells. Before we were physical, we went through states of being animals, reptiles, grays, all of that before we got into the physical state. And the ancient Egyptians knew this. See, this is why they created the Book of the Dead. This is what the Book of the Dead is really talking about. It's just like the I Ching, the Book of Changes. It's talking about change. It's talking about how we went from a lily to a phoenix, to a heron, to a crocodile. You see, then it goes into memory. How we, you know what I'm saying? And it fuses. See, all of these different states that I just named, memory, spirit, all of these things are different realities. See, people don't realize that. Like, your memory is literally a reality. Your spirit is your emotion, which is, you know, the root of spirit, is a reality that you can tap into, and your being is based on all of these different realities and bringing them together. So if you talk about you want to create your own reality and you want this to be a heaven for yourself, you have to, just like my man Ra Nefer said, have to understand that you live in a reality that's based on multiplicity, more than one, and they're all working together. You are what's called a compound being. You're not singular. There's different aspects to your being. You have to learn every aspect to your being. This is why you have, some people say 7, 8, or 13 chakras. Each chakra goes into a different aspect of your being. So we are in hell. This is not heaven. We are in a state of decay. The fact that we're sitting up under the light of the sun. We have to learn how to transform our nature into an alkaline nature. We have to learn how to become immortals so that we can have eternal life. Because as long as we die and we're born, we're in hell. That's hell, because of the fact that you can't change it. And the only way that you can change it is to learn how to shapeshift. You see, first you have to learn the story of how we even got here. You see, we came from the reptilians. They ruled this reality first. I know I'm bouncing around here, but I want to point out this one last thing, and I'm going to shut this video down, because this is just, you know, basically my opinions, and I'm just up here talking right now. Not a real life serious video. But you have to know how we got here. You have to study the history of the reptilians and know that that's in our DNA. You have to know that the reptilians were given dominion over this realm by the Galactic Federation when they first were cast into this realm. And the planets like Saturn, Vulcan, different planets like that, all were planets that were occupied by reptilians before the humanoid species got here. Then you had beings that were animal type of beings. You had beings that had the head of a tiger or the head of a bird. This is why you see the ancient Egyptians, they have drawings of pictures of Tahuti, and he has an ibis head. The reason why he has an ibis head, and the reason why Heru has the head of a hawk, is because they're going into the different versions of man. There's over 30 different versions of humans, or the humanoid, before we got to this point. There's different ET species that tried to create humanoids to seed this particular planet. This started on Mars and went all the way back to Saturn and on Melday. So I'm saying all that to say that these beings, these reptilian types and these insect type of beings, came here first to this planet. So this is how it got the term, and the name hell became famous here. It's because of the fact that the being, or the god, or the head honcho of these particular reptilian type of beings, his name was Halal. His name was Halal. And this is where your hell comes from. This is where your underworld comes from. Your duat. You read about the stories of Nergal and Erishkigal. I'm going to go into and do videos on all of this stuff, because all of this is astrological, but it's historical as well. You see, because when you study astrology and ETs and stuff like that, you're getting into history. And you read about Nergal and Arish Nergal and the different gods that were sentenced to the underworld. You read how Nergal had to go to the underworld because he did X, Y, and Z. You see, this is, you're reading about something. This is the Galactic Federation of Light sentencing people. And this became hell based upon a conspiracy because of the fact that this being, Halal, his father, wanted to take over and he wanted to rule all the universes, and he didn't like the order of light and the way that, see, the Galactic Federation of Light, they're not up under the decay side of light. I need to point this out because I know you heard me say, well, light is decay. So you probably think, well, the Galactic Federation of Light, they're probably based upon decay too. Like they're probably doing things based upon destruction as well. No, they're on the side. Remember, I did a video called "The Sun is a Generator." You see, so when light is generated, and the Galactic Federation of Light are creators, so they create. They create based upon, of course, certain rules, but they create the reality that I just talked about. That's multiplicity. That's a multiple reality or quantum reality. It's the Galactic Federation that is responsible for creating that. And the Luciferians wanted to get into that particular order so that they could take over the laws that of creation in the way that the laws of creation worked. You see, because they wanted all beings to have the same abilities to be able to create realities like that. But it wasn't time for them to get that type of information. It wasn't time for them to get that type of knowledge. So they was cast out and given their own realm where they can create the way they wanted to do it. And this is where you get the concept of hell from. So the Luciferians set up a conspiracy and they started to create beings up under them, and they made themselves as gods, and they began to create beings that worship them, but they didn't teach them the laws of creation because the Luciferians are one step up under the GFL or the Galactic Federation of Light, in so much that they are still in submittance of the 7 creative spirits, or the 7, or really it's more than that, the creative bodies. See, the planets are creative bodies. And when you're inside of a body and you're limited to that body, you're up under the laws of body and the laws of form. So you're up under the laws of the planets. So the way that the Galactic Federation of Light rules over the Luciferians is that they rule over the lights of the planets, or the 7 creative. Some people say 7 because there's 7 main planets that we deal with, but really, I mean, there's more bodies than that out there. There's over 10 bodies in our solar system. What I'm saying is the Galactic Federation of Light rules over that. So they're on the creative side, and they create the reality, whereas the Luciferians, what they do is, since they can't create realities and they don't have an overstanding and they don't sit over the heavenly bodies, they have to take the light and deceive you with it. So they create virtual realities based upon the ultimate reality that's created, which is based upon the bodies themselves. So the Luciferians, they cut you off, or they disconnect you from learning because they want to keep you caught up into the cycles of reincarnation. And they know the more you learn and the more you experience while you're here on this realm, the least likely it is that you're going to come back, because you knew how. If you really master this realm, you'll know how to make yourself remember. Once you transform and leave this body, you'll know how to make yourself remember so that you won't be attracted back to a physical body, because you're attracted. I know I'm saying a lot here in this video, so just rewind it or whatever you got to do, take notes, but you're attracted back into a physical body. When you go and you die or transform, the reason why you come back is not like a lot of times people just think, well, I decided I was going to come back. No, you're up under certain laws, and you are attracted back to this body because of the fact that you didn't have enough willpower and you didn't have enough memory to be able to make your ascension. You didn't allow yourself, so you were attracted back to a physical body. So the ancient Egyptians, going back to my point about them burying themselves with ornaments and different things of that nature, they were burying themselves with certain objects so that they would remember, like, oh, I was just in this human reality, I got to get away from here. So then their soul would graduate to a higher realm. So saying all that to say that if you want to get out of hell, if you want to learn how to create your own reality, you have to learn about this reality first. You have to learn the fact that it's a multiple reality. The stuff that you're learning in church is not enough. The stuff that you're learning in college is not enough. You're going to have to get into the occult, the unseen. You're going to have to learn about the things that they don't tell you, the things that you have to go search and look for. You see, because a lot of information about the occult has not even been documented yet. You see, there's beings with banks of information waiting to teach us, but we don't have initiates that have enough willpower and chi to be able to deal with these beings so they can get more knowledge and information. from the occult, because this is what's going to shift our reality from a hellish state to a heaven state. If you want this to be heaven, we have to raise the reality as a whole. Every aspect of it, every independent entity has to decide on this planet that they want to raise their energy and ascend to the next level and become and make this become a state of heaven, or a place of heaven, instead of an abode of hell and a hellish state, where we have to submit to laws and the law of polarity and all these different universal laws, and we have to, go to oracles. We got to do a lot on the energy level to really get out of this place. And the thing is, they don't teach you this type of stuff in the Matrix. Like, they don't tell you that, what I'm saying, it might take you an oracle card reading or something like that to get out this reality. You're going to need your natal chart, what I'm saying, to get out this reality. You're going to need to know about how to change reality with magic sometime, and how to course correct your life with magic to get out this reality. What I'm saying? You're going to need to know about the science of numbers to get out this reality. It's just a lot. You're going to need to know how to work with crystals and stones and things of this nature to get out this reality. You're going to need to know about all the essential oils and things of that nature to get out this reality. All of these, so it's multiple levels of magic is what I'm trying to show you. You might know one aspect of magic, like you might know voodoo, but then you don't really know a lot about astrology. You're going to need to know about every aspect of magic, of the occult, and be able to integrate them into a holistic blueprint in a day-to-day ritual, basically rituals that you do every day, so that you could graduate from this hellish reality. I thank you all for listening. I thank you all for watching. Peace.